Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivana Dari Gopijana Vallabha Girivana Dari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivana Dari Gopijana Vallabha Girivana Dari Suranandana Brajajana Ranjana Jasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivana Dari Gopijana Vallabha Girivana Dari Suranandana Brajajana Ranjana Jasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira vanachare. Yamuna tira vanachare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Prevajakacharya Asatya Sadashishimad. His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada ki, Anantagota Vaishnavamuni ki jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai, ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Prem Sikaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Srivasati Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai, Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Sambhakum Radhakun Giri Govardhan ki jai, Shri Vrindavan ki jai, Shri Maya Purnavidam ki jai, Gangamaya ki jai, Jamunamaya ki jai, Tulsidevi ki jai, Bhakti Devi ki jai, Samaveda Bhaktivinoda ki jai, Transcendental Book Distribution ki jai, Harinam Sankirtan ki jai, Go Premanandi, all glorious summer devotees, all glorious summer devotees, all glorious summer devotees, all glorious Shishi Guru and Shri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So this morning we're reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 16, King Chittiketu meets the Supreme Lord, text number 11. Nadata Atma Hi Gunang Na Doshang Na Kriya Palam Udasin Navad Asinaha Paravara Drik Isvaraha Nadata Atmahi Gunam Nadosang Nakriyapalam Udasinavad Asinaha Paravara Drik Isvaraha Nadata Atmahi Gunam Nadosam Nakriyapalam Vidhasinavad Asinaha Pravara Dvigisvaraha Narata atma hi gunam narusang nakriyapalam udasina asina paravara drugishvaraha. Na, not. Adate, accepts. Atma, the Supreme Lord. He, indeed. Gunam, happiness. Na, not. Dosam, unhappiness. Na, nor. Kriyapalam, the result of any fruitive activity. Udasina, vat, exactly like a neutral man. Asina, sitting in the core of the heart. Paravaradrik, seeing the cause and effect. Ishvaraha, the Supreme Lord. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada Ki. The Supreme Lord, Atma, the creator of cause and effect, does not accept the happiness and distress that result from fruitive actions. He is completely independent of having to accept a material body, and because he has no material body, he is always neutral. The living entities, being part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, possess his qualities in a minute quantity. Therefore, one should not be affected by lamentation. Purport. The conditioned soul, has friends and enemies. He is affected by the good qualities and the faults of his position. The Supreme Lord, however, is always transcendental. Because he is the Ishvara, the Supreme Controller, he is not affected by duality. It may therefore be said that he sits in the core of everyone's heart as the neutral witness of the causes and effects of one's activities, good and bad. We should also understand that udasina, neutral, does not mean that he takes no action. Rather, it means that he is not personally affected. For example, a court judge is neutral when two opposing parties appear before him, but he still takes action as the case warrants. To become completely neutral, indifferent to material activities, we should simply seek shelter at the lotus feet of the Supreme Neutral Person. Maharaj Chitraketu was advised that remaining neutral in such trying circumstances as the death of one's son is impossible. Nevertheless, since the Lord knows how to adjust everything, the best course is to depend upon Him and do one's duty in devotional service to the Lord. In all circumstances, one should be undisturbed by duality, as stated in the Bhagavad Gita. Karmanyavali karaste ma phalechu kadachana ma kamar phalaheturva mati sango stikaramani. You have a right to perform your prescribed duty but you are not entitled to the fruits of action. Never consider yourself to be the cause of the result of your activities, and never be attached to not doing your duty. One should execute one's devotional duty, and for the result of one's actions, one should depend upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Om Jnana-timirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Taksham Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Mukram Kurtavata Langpangam Nanghaite Gurim Yat Kripata Laham Vande Shri Gurum Dinadaranam Vanchakapatibhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhyevacha Patitanam Bhavanevyo Vaishnavevyo Namo Namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. This is the position of Krishna. He has a transcendental body, so he's never overcome by duality. Whereas we have these material bodies, and we sometimes get overcome. Happiness and distress, heat and cold, honor, dishonor. But Krishna, he's never affected by the modes of material nature. On the other hand, he actually controls the modes of material nature, so he's never affected by these dualities. There's an amazing pastime, probably one of the most amazing pastimes of Krishna in Vrindavan, where he was the cause of probably the greatest reversal or problem in Vrindavan when he was there. And that was when Nanda Maharaj, he was doing this yajna for Indra. So Krishna went to him, a young boy, and asked him, "Oh, dear father, what is this that you're doing? Is this sacrifice according to Vedic instructions, or is it just a popular ceremony? What is this?" And Nanda Maharaj, he was silent, didn't say anything. And Krishna said, "Dear father, saintly people, they don't keep secrets, especially from their family members. Please tell me, what is this?" And he said, "Oh, it's a tradition. It's a traditional thing that we're agriculturalists. We need water, so we do this yajna for Indra, so we can get water and grow our plants and food." And Krishna, pretty amazing. He started preaching the karma mimamsa philosophy, which is more or less atheism. You don't have to worship these gods. Just do your duty, and the result will come. Just like so much rain is falling into the ocean. There's no one there doing any yajna to get rain, but the rain is falling. You don't have to worship these demigods and all this. So Krishna's pretty convincing. Actually, there was one elderly gopi listening to Krishna as he's speaking to Nanda Maharaj, and she said it was just like nectar coming into my ear, hearing Krishna speak. Imagine hearing Krishna speak. Everything about Krishna is completely transcendental. So she said, just hearing Krishna speak, she was just amazed. So then Nanda Maharaj, he okay, then we'll do a sacrifice for Indra. So now Krishna wanted him to do a sacrifice for Govardhan Hill, because Govardhan Hill is giving so much grass for the cows, and they got so many things that are given by Govardhan Hill. So just worship Govardhan Hill. And Nanda Maharaj said, "All right, we'll worship Indra, and we'll worship Govardhan Hill." He said, "No, why waste time? Whatever you have there, just worship Govardhan Hill." And he said, "Okay." Nanda Maharaj said, "Okay, we'll just worship Govardhan Hill." So Krishna, he wanted elaborate worship of Govardhan Hill, bring all kinds of foodstuffs and offer to Govardhan Hill. And they did, and they did the puja and everything, and then Krishna manifests Govardhan Hill, and even Krishna, he paid obeisances to Krishna. This huge form of Krishna, the manifest from Govardhan Hill. It's now different. It's Krishna. So Indra, he wasn't very pleased with this. He was a little upset. So he sent the Sangvartika clouds, which are the clouds of devastation. And there was so much rain coming down. So this no doubt, this was the biggest reversal that the residents of Vrindavan experienced in their life. Because Indra, basically, he wanted to kill everybody. All the cows, all the calves, all the people, he just wanted to kill everybody. He was upset. So Krishna, and all the residents of it, they were very upset. You can imagine, they're running around trying to save their lives. But what did they do? They took shelter of Krishna. Even though Krishna was the cause of the problem. He caused the problem. He said, no, don't worship him, just worship Govardhan Hill. He was the cause of the problem. But still, they took shelter of Krishna. Just like Prabhupada gives the example, sometimes the mother will punish a child, but still the child will run back to the mother, take shelter of the mother. Even though the child has just been punished by the mother, still, what shelter? He comes back and he takes shelter of the mother. So similarly, the residents of Vrindavan, they were so surrendered to Krishna, even though Krishna caused the mishap, the problem, still, there was so much love for Krishna. They took shelter of Krishna. And Krishna said, oh, no problem. See, he's not disturbed by duality. No problem. I'll just lift Govardhan Hill. And he did just that. And there was a huge umbrella. Solved the problem. So for Krishna, there is no problem. There's no duality, no problem. Because he's as Prabhupada mentions here, he's the Ishvara. He's in control of everything. Because we're not Ishvaras, therefore there's anxiety, there's duality. We get disturbed over certain things that may happen. But Krishna, completely transcendental. So when Krishna does one thing, there's many purposes are fulfilled by that one action. So what happened was that he poured all this water down. How long? 7 days. So all the residents of Vrindavan, they always wanted to be in the association of Krishna, because Krishna, he's so wonderful. And therefore there's a chapter in the Srimad, Wonderful Krishna. There's a chapter in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Wonderful Krishna. So they all wanted to be with Krishna, all the time. So Krishna fulfilled that desire for 7 days, 7 nights. No one ate, no one drank. They just got that association of Krishna. And then Indra, see, this is another purpose Krishna wanted fulfilled. He had become a little proud for being the king of heaven. So Krishna wanted to deflate his pride, and he did. With all that rain coming down, no one was harmed. Not a cow, not a person. Nobody was harmed. Everybody was protected by Krishna. So he was humbled, and he came down offering prayers with Surabhi. He didn't want to come down alone. He was a little bit scared. And so was it suggested that you go with Surabhi, because Krishna likes the cows, especially the Surabhi cows. So, yes, he was humbled. And everybody was so pleased, so enamored by Krishna's activities. And he's holding this hill up, and some of the men, that Krishna told Krishna, you've been holding the hill up for so long. Let us take on some of the weight, because it must be straining yourself. And Krishna said, all right. So you see the picture of the sticks, And now Krishna's just got his little pinky holding it up. And he just let a fraction of the weight go on the sticks of these cowherd men. And they said, all right, Krishna, you rested enough, now you take over again. So, amazing pastime. So this shows how Krishna, he's not affected by duality. Now, there's another instance of Surabhi. There's a Surabhi Muni, right? Surabhi Muni? Saubhari Muni. He was a Muni, and he was self-controlled, very self-controlled. But he was meditating in the water, and he saw two fish copulating. And it affected him, to the point where he left his meditation, gave up his meditation, and decided he wanted to get married. Now one may ask, well, what happened there? What caused that? Years before, he had cursed Garuda, because Garuda was eating fish in this lake near the Yamuna. So he cursed Garuda, that if you come here again and do this, you'll die. Huge offense. Maha offense. Garuda's the carrier of Vishnu. Maha offense. So because he committed that offense, therefore he became bewildered by material desires. And so he came out of his meditation, and he went to a king and said he wanted to get married. Do you have any daughters? And he said, yeah, if any of them want to marry you, yeah, it's okay. Because he didn't look too good. He had been in the water a long time, and he was waterlogged, I guess you could say. He was very wrinkled. But so Saurabhi Muni, he understood. Oh, this is his way to avoid giving me a wife. So he was a Muni. So he changed his form into a beautiful young man. And this king had 50 daughters. And upon seeing the beauty of this young man, they all wanted to marry him. And they did. He had 50 wives. But then after some time, living like that, the anxiety of household life, at some point he decided, what have I wasted my time, so much time here? And he again went back to his meditation, his austerities. But see, there's the cause, and there's the effect, cause and the result. So we have to be careful about what we do. Be careful about this is what we could learn from this. We have to be very careful, especially amongst the devotees. Amongst everyone, we have to be gentle and kind and grateful. Always have a service attitude. So in this verse, Prabhupada mentions this famous verse in the Bhagavad Gita, Karmanyavadikaraste, ma phalechu kadachna ma kama phalahortyobor mati sangosti karmani. That you have a right to perform your duty, but you're not entitled to enjoy the fruits. Now, I distribute books, and a lot of the Hindus, they know this first part of this. Karmanyavadikaraste. Practically, they all know this first line. You have a right to perform your prescribed duty. They stop right there. They don't go to the next part, but you're not entitled to enjoy the fruits of your activities. They don't like that part. Never think yourself to be the cause of the result of your activity, and never be attached to not doing your duty. So this is the whole verse. It's amazing how all religions, it's like they catch one part and they hold on to that, which is satisfying to them, to their senses. So this verse says that never consider yourself to be the cause of the result of your activities. So in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains that there's 5 factors of action. The Supersoul, the soul, the body, the senses. Anyone know the last one? The endeavor. Yeah, very good. Yeah, the endeavor. So it's not just by our endeavor. It's not just because we have a body, we can do things. Without the sanction of Krishna, we can't do anything. So he's the ultimate sanctioner, allowing us to do things. He's allowing us to do things. And the best thing that we can do is to devote ourselves to the service of Krishna. This is the nature of the soul, is to serve Krishna. Now, to get out of our conditioned life and engage in devotional life, it's a big challenge. It's not easy. But with practice, it's possible. Just like when I was a younger lad, I used to be a long-distance runner. And I was pretty quick. Because of practice. I practice. I like to run. Now, if I were to try to go on a long-distance run now, I'd probably collapse after half a mile. Because I'm not in shape. But again, if I practiced, then again, I would, even though I'm a little elderly, with practice, I could, again, do long-distance running. So, and therefore, when Arjuna was hearing the 6th chapter, the yoga system, Krishna was told by Arjuna. Arjuna said, I consider this to be impossible, this process you've described, because the mind is chanchalam, hi manak Krishna pramati balavadridham tashyaham nigrahanmanye vairayavataduskam. Because the mind is flickering. It's going all over the place. Yeah. Like I was distributing books a few days ago, and this lady said, yeah, I've tried meditation, but my mind is just everywhere. I don't know how people do it. I said, well, take some practice. You got to practice. So yeah, this is the nature of the mind. So what does Krishna say? Yato yato nischalati, manas chanchalam astram, tatastato nyam nyaitat, atmanyev samne. From wherever the mind wanders, due to its flickering, unstated nature, one must bring it back under the control of the self. So what we're engaged in, it's like a war. We're at a war with the mind. The mind wants to go everywhere, but not focus on serving Krishna. So therefore Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, the mind is a non-devotee. So we're trying to make the mind a devotee. It's a big challenge. But, again, with practice, with sincerity and seriousness. It's like Prabhupada, he uses this word quite a bit. These were 2 words together. Serious and sincere. Sincere means genuine. Serious means thoughtful. Just like he told Yamuna, when you're reading my books, try to feel what you're reading. Try to feel what you're reading. Try to feel the message that's being given. So serious and sincere, and steadily practicing this process will help us advance in Krishna consciousness. And then here in the last sentence, he said, one should execute one's devotional duty, and for the results of one's actions, one should depend upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we have to depend on Krishna. Cetasa sarvakarmani mayi sanyasya matpara buddhi yogan pashuddha machitita saratam bhava. In all activities, depend upon me and always work under my protection. In such devotional service, be fully conscious of me. So we have to depend on Krishna. And whatever it is we're doing, we depend on Krishna. And Krishna, he helps the sincere, serious devotees in their endeavor to engage in devotional service. Now I wanted to say a couple of Sankirtan stories in this regard. There was one devotee distributing books in India, and he went to one company. And this person, the owner of the company, immediately expressed his interest. Now, I'm not interested in your books. Don't bother me. Just go away. But this devotee, he wasn't discouraged. He didn't feel bad. He gave the person his business card. The devotee gave him his card, and he gave him a picture of Radha Gopinath, Chaupadi, and he gave him a cookie. Even though he got such rejection, still he was not deterred. So he gave him these things, and then he said, "And if you want, I'll be around for a couple of days. You can give me a call if you change your mind." Who would think such a person would change his mind? So the next day, this devotee calls him up. The devotee called up this businessman. Yeah. And the businessman said, "Oh, I'm so happy to hear from you." And the devotee was surprised. "Well, why? Well, where are you? I'm not very far." "Well, come. I want to speak to you." He said, "All right, I'm on my way." So he goes and he says, "All the books that you have, you can distribute right here in my company, no problem. You can start." Well, it was a little late, so the devotee said, "Well, let's do it tomorrow." He said, "You can do it any time you want." And he said, "Do you have any more of those cookies?" He said, "My wife has been angry at me for 5 years. Nothing I could do could please her. But I gave her that cookie. And she said, 'This cookie is great. Give me some more.'" She wanted more cookies. And then he gave her the picture of Radha Gopinath. And she loved the picture of the deities of Radha Gopinath also. So this businessman told this devotee, "Do you have a bigger picture of this Radha Gopinath picture?" He said, Yeah, I can bring." "Oh yeah, please do. And bring more cookies." So he gave some more cookies. So, and he was able to distribute books to all the workers there. Now he's the owner, so he made sure everybody bought books. How could the workers say no, right? And then he also gave information of 3 other big companies around that were friends of his, and he went to all those as well. The power of prasadam. It's amazing, huh? Yeah, we used to do that in Miami. We used to go out to the airport, and we would give cookies to all the people, all the workers, and people that get books also would. They loved the prasadam. In New York City also, they had these ladus or something, luglus. I heard thousands of them, right? And people just became addicted. They became addicted in the. Yeah, sometimes police would go, "Hey, you got one of those those sweet balls?" They became famous for the sweet balls. There was another amazing incident where a devotee was distributing books door to door, Vedavyas Prabhu in Canada. So he knocked on the door, and he presented the books to this lady, and she said, "No, I'm not interested." And he was trying to explain the books a little bit more, and she said, "Well, yeah, thanks, but I'm not interested." Then he heard someone speaking downstairs, and he said, "Well, can you go downstairs and ask them if they might be interested?" She said, "All right, they're students." So she went downstairs and said, "There's this person up there who's got some yoga books and meditation. You interested?" "Nope, not interested." So she came back and gave them bad news, but then he heard someone upstairs. "I hear someone up. Can you go and ask the person upstairs?" And she was a little surprised, but she said, "All right." So she went upstairs, and he also wasn't interested, but there was someone on the phone. And the person on the phone said, "What is that? What is she saying?" And the person speaking to the person on the phone, he said, "Well, there's some person downstairs. He's got these books on yoga and meditation." And he asked, "Well, what's the name of the book?" And she went down to find out the Bhagavad Gita. Went up, "The Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita? I've been looking for the Bhagavad Gita." Now this is the guy on the phone, right? He said, "How much?" He said, $20. And the person that's speaking to him said, "I don't have any money." And the lady that he was talking to, "I got money." I got money. Sold. So the guy on the phone got the book. So he wasn't discouraged. Yeah, she was doing all the service, going up and down the stairs, And she also gave the $20 up front so that he can get the book. So it's rather interesting. So there's so many. I got this. My book is coming. Actually, Jagadish Ananda said it's going to come next week. So we're going to have him here. Well, just doing that volume 1 was quite a challenge. I don't know if I'll do that again. So, are there any questions or comments? Yes, Prabhu.
You're speaking about duality.
Yes.
I feel like I'm living in two worlds. Being next door and here. Anyway, can you tell us a little more about the pitfalls or how to, be neutral to all of that?
Yeah, very good.
Duality.
Yeah, the more we're aware that we're the soul within, that we're not the body, the more we're able to overcome dualities. Yeah. Just like there's yogis in the Himalayas that are, transcendental. They're just living up there in the cold, and they're doing there's many devotees also, but a lot of them are yogis. But they transcended this cold. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains, "Labante Brahma Nirvanam, Rasiksima Kamasa, China Dvaiti Atatmana Sarvabhuta Hitayrata," that one who is free of the dualities that arise from doubt. This one line is such a powerful line. The one who is free of the dualities that arise from doubt. If we have faith that Krishna is in control of everything, then we've overcome dualities. Because whatever Krishna arranges is good. It's all good. Whatever he arranges is good. So to have faith that Krishna is the Ishvara, as it's mentioned here in the Purva. He's the Paramishvara. He's the supreme controller. So whatever he arranges is good. You know, just like that amazing story of this secretary, that there's a king that had a secretary, and whatever happened, he would say, "Oh, Krishna's mercy." Krishna's mercy. You know this story? It's an amazing story. And most devotees know this, but it's a pretty amazing. So he was so Krishna conscious. He had such faith in Krishna that whatever would happen, it's Krishna's mercy. So one time the king he cut himself rather badly, and the secretary said, "Oh, Krishna's mercy." And the king said, "Oh, you think it's Krishna's mercy? Okay." He told his servants, "Put him in jail. Let's see if that's Krishna's mercy." And what did he say? Krishna's mercy. So then the king thought, "Man, this guy's like, he's bonkers, man." So the king, he used to go hunting, and he would go with his secretary. But the secretary is in jail. "I'll just go by myself." So he went out hunting, and he got caught by these dacoits. And these dacoits, they do human sacrifices. I guess that doesn't happen anymore, does it? No. This is back, I guess, thousands of years ago. So they were going to make a human sacrifice to Durga. And they had him tied up there, getting ready to make the sacrifice. And he's in big anxiety, you can imagine. But then they noticed he had this big cut on his hand. And they said, "Hey, we can't offer him. He's imperfect. Untie him, let him go, get him out of here." So he's running through the forest. It was Krishna's mercy. It was Krishna's mercy. And he goes straight to the secretary. "I can't believe you were right. It was Krishna's mercy. I cut my finger. These dacoits were going to make a human sacrifice, and they saw this cut, and they let me go. It was Krishna's mercy. You were right." But then he said, "But why? Why would it be Krishna's mercy? You're in jail." And the secretary said, "I don't have any cuts. I would have been the sacrifice." So it was Krishna's mercy. So sometimes it's hard to see how everything is Krishna's mercy. But yes, everything is Krishna's mercy. So you go beyond dualities. And this verse goes on to say, "One who is free of the dualities that arise from doubt, whose mind is always engaged within." And what does that mean? Always thinking of Krishna. If we're always thinking of Krishna, we become transcendental, and we become free of dualities. Right? And then he goes on to say, "Who is always busy acting for the welfare of others." Always busy acting. And the best welfare that we can do for others is distributing books. That's the best thing happening on the planet right now. Because people are getting an opportunity to hear about Krishna, to hear about who they are. Yeah. And then the last part, he says, "And who is free of sin," they're understood to be transcendental, liberated personalities. Okay? Yes, Guru.
Hare Krishna. You know, the purport, it said, "It may therefore be said that he sits in the core of everyone's heart as a neutral witness." So I was telling Dvijamani yesterday that there was this, man, I was trying to offer him a book, and said, "I have a book." And I said, "Oh, here it goes." So I have the Holy Bible. So he said, "Who is this Krishna?" I said, "Krishna is in your heart." And he said, "No, there's no room for Krishna in my heart." So he was rejecting Krishna. So I was just, it just reminded me of that from the purport.
Little does he know, Krishna's even in the atom. What to speak of in his heart. Yes, Prabhu. Dvijamani Prabhu.
Thank you, Vijay Prabhu. Was the first Sankirtan story, is that related to somebody from Russia or not? It kind of reminded me a little bit.
This was in India. Yeah, this was in India.
And I also had a question about, you mentioned that Lord Indra, when he was sending the rains, he wanted to kill everybody. And why is that we're hearing so much about demigods, and particularly Lord Indra, wanting to kill somebody who is not a demon, devotees? Yeah. Why is that? Because as far as I understand, the demigods, they have a lot of good qualities. So,
good question. Yeah. Well, there's different demigods on different levels. Like Lord Shiva, he's Vaishnavanam Yatha Shambhu. He's the greatest Vaishnava, but sometimes he would fight with Krishna. So these are pastimes, of course, but because he's not an ordinary demigod. But Indra, he's a very special personality. In the Bhagavad Gita, in the opulence of the Supreme, he says, what is it? Of demigods, I am, what is it? I am Indra, I think. So he gets himself into trouble quite often. He stole the sacrificial horse from King Prithu, and Lord Vishnu comes with Indra and asking King Prithu to forgive him, which is completely amazing. Here King Prithu, he's a Shaktivesh avatar, and he had stolen the horse. He's doing a sacrifice, and Lord Vishnu, he backs up Indra, which is inconceivable. So there's something special. There's something special about Indra, although he gets himself in trouble and does things that are we would consider foolish. He's not an ordinary person. But in general, demigods are, they're devotees. They're called, not all of them, but they're called sakama devotees. Material devotees. They have a desire to serve Krishna, but they also have some material desires. Of course, not all of them. Narada Muni, he's also a demigod. So many of them are pure devotees, and some of them have some material desires. So they're not all the same.
So would you say that it is the nature of the demigods to enforce punishment, such as killing, if it's necessary sometimes?
Well, we got Yamaraj. He's superintendent of death. But sometimes, there's the wars amongst the demigods and the demons. There's so much killing. So yeah, that's there. Okay. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki. Yeah.